Have you ever found yourself constantly giving, chasing, or begging for attention from someone who doesn't see your worth? What if the real answer wasn't about them, but about you? In today's message, we're going to uncover why begging and chasing are signs of a deeper disconnection from yourself, and how you can break free and reclaim your power by focusing inward. This isn't just motivation, it's a mental reset. When you chase something or someone, you're not just moving toward it. You're declaring to your body, your brain, and the field around you that you don't already have it. That gap between who you are now and what you believe you lack becomes an emotional frequency that your body memorizes. You're not just chasing the relationship, the job, the validation. You're chasing worth. You're chasing significance. You're chasing the illusion of completion. The act of chasing is deeply tied to your survival mind, that part of you that was trained by trauma, conditioning, or repetitive emotional experiences to believe that your value must be earned through performance or sacrifice. You chase because a part of your subconscious has been wired to associate attention with safety, approval with love, and proximity with purpose. But here's the truth: when you operate from that space, you become chemically addicted to lack. You're not in the driver's seat. Your old patterns are. Your body begins to crave the highs and lows of emotional uncertainty because it has become familiar, even if it's painful. Think of the last time you found yourself anxiously waiting for someone to reply, obsessively thinking about why they're pulling away, or feeling like you needed to prove your worth to make someone stay. In those moments, you weren't fully present. You weren't grounded in your power. Your nervous system was hijacked. Your breath became shallow. Your body contracted. You were no longer creating your reality. You were reacting to a distorted version of it. That's the power of a disempowered mind. It convinces you that your value lies outside of you. Now, here's the science most people don't talk about. When you're in that reactive state, your brain and body start producing stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine. These chemicals were designed to keep you alive in the face of danger. But when they're triggered by emotional insecurity, they keep you locked in a loop of fear, self-doubt, and scarcity. And from that place, all you can attract are more experiences that mirror that frequency. You may try to hold on to people, force conversations, or manipulate situations just to soothe the discomfort of your own disconnection. But the result is always the same: exhaustion, disappointment, and deeper self-abandonment. You have to understand that the quantum field responds not to your wishes, but to your electromagnetic signature. And your signature, your personal broadcast into the universe, is not made of words or wants. It's made of your emotional state, your intentions, and the thoughts you dwell on the most. If you are emotionally broadcasting, "I need you to see me because I don't see myself," then all you will attract are people and situations that confirm that belief. That's not fate, that's feedback. When you are disconnected from your inner power, you unconsciously become a magnet for people who reinforce your disconnection. You'll chase someone emotionally unavailable because your nervous system is addicted to proving your worth. You'll stay in toxic cycles. The pain feels familiar, and the more you chase, the more your self-worth erodes, not because someone else took it from you, but because you gave it away in exchange for a reflection that was never yours to begin with. Chasing also keeps you in the past. It's rooted in memory, in repetition, in unresolved wounds. Every time you chase, you're reinforcing an identity that says, "I am incomplete." But who taught you that? Was it the abandonment you experienced as a child? The emotional neglect? The moment you were told you were too much or not enough? Those moments created a blueprint, and unless you interrupt it, you will continue to live out the same emotional story in different disguises. But you don't need to keep writing the same chapter. The mind that created the pattern is not the mind that will free you from it. To shift out of chasing, you must become conscious. You must observe your thoughts without judgment and feel your emotions without acting on them. You must recognize when you're spiraling into neediness or desperation and use it as a signal not to reach out to someone else, but to return to yourself. The real power lies not in changing others, but in changing the signal you send. Because when you are connected to your inner power, you no longer chase, you attract. You radiate certainty, not desperation. You become a calm presence in a chaotic world. People are drawn to your energy because you've become the source, not the seeker. That's the shift from needing to be chosen to choosing yourself. From begging for crumbs to realizing you were the feast all along. And the only way to step into that frequency is to stop running from your own stillness, your own truth, your own enoughness. Begging is not about asking. It's about pleading from a place of emotional desperation. It's not about expressing a need. It's about fearing that the need won't be met unless you sacrifice your dignity. And this state, this emotional posture of begging, doesn't originate from weakness. It originates from a brain that has been trapped in survival for too long. When the body is locked in survival mode, the mind becomes consumed by fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. In this state, you begin to make decisions not from clarity, but from a place of panic. The mind is no longer observing, it's reacting. In survival mode, the brain's primary concern is safety. It scans every interaction, every delay in response, every change in tone as a possible threat. This is the same mechanism your ancestors used to detect danger in the wild, only now, instead of wild animals, it reacts to emotional disconnection. When you beg for someone's time, their love, their attention, what you're truly begging for is safety. Your nervous system is saying, I don't feel safe without this person's validation. And in that moment, you hand your power over to the external world. You make someone else the gatekeeper of your peace. Your begging becomes a signal, an unconscious broadcast that you are not whole within yourself. This isn't about blame. This is about awareness, because the body, when trapped in emotional survival, cannot tell the difference between emotional abandonment and physical threat. The fight or flight response doesn't only get activated when you're being chased by something dangerous. It also kicks in when you're afraid of being alone, ignored, or unloved. Your heart races, your breath shortens, your mind loops in obsessive thoughts. And your behavior follows the path of least resistance, begging, apologizing excessively, shrinking to be accepted. What's happening under the surface is that your body is addicted to the emotional chemicals of lack. When someone pulls away, your system floods with cortisol and adrenaline. The absence of their attention becomes a withdrawal, and like any addiction, the craving becomes unbearable. So you beg not because you want to, but because the emotional discomfort becomes so loud that you'll do anything to make it stop. You don't beg because you're weak. You beg because your brain has been conditioned to believe that your sense of worth is directly tied to how others treat you. This conditioning often begins in early life. If you were only shown love when you performed pleased or obeyed, you internalized a belief. Love is not freely given. It must be earned. So you learn to overfunction, to overgive, to silence your needs, to twist yourself into whatever shape someone else wanted, all for the hope of being seen, being chosen, being held. As an adult, this belief shows up in the way you chase approval, tolerate emotional crumbs, and settle for the illusion of connection over the substance of it. Begging, then, becomes the adult expression of a child's unmet need. It's the wounded inner child asking, do I matter now? But the real tragedy is that while you're begging for someone to see you, you are abandoning the part of you that needs you the most. The very act of begging reinforces to your subconscious that you are not worthy of being pursued, that you must compensate for who you are, that your truth must be diluted to be loved. This is a painful loop, and one that keeps your nervous system on high alert, always bracing for the next disappointment, the next rejection, the next moment of silence that feels like punishment. From a neurological perspective, This creates neural pathways that make begging and self-abandonment your default. The more you act from this place, the more your brain wires itself to believe that this behavior is necessary for survival. And unless interrupted, it becomes an unconscious identity, one that continues to attract people who validate that identity. You begin to draw in emotionally unavailable partners, distant friends, dismissive bosses, not because you deserve them, but because you've become neurologically and emotionally primed to exist in that energetic environment. That's the chemistry of survival. It keeps you tied to the familiar, even if the familiar is toxic. You see, survival mode isn't about living, it's about maintaining the illusion of control in a world where you feel powerless. Begging is a symptom of that illusion. It's a cry from the subconscious that says, if I can just make them stay, I will feel okay. But the problem is, no one outside of you can ever offer that level of certainty. That feeling of safety has to be cultivated from within. It has to be wired through daily discipline, emotional awareness, and deep inner work. You can't heal survival with more chasing. You can only heal it by restoring a sense of safety inside your own body. And that begins the moment you realize you're no longer that abandoned child, that broken version of yourself. You are the conscious creator now, not the unconscious beggar. Magnetism isn't something you chase, it's something you become. And becoming magnetic doesn't come from changing your appearance, manipulating your behavior, or controlling how others see you. It comes from the inner work, cultivating emotional wholeness, energetic alignment, and mental clarity. When your attention turns inward and your focus shifts from the external world to your internal state, something profound begins to happen. Your energy becomes coherent. And coherence is what draws people, opportunities, and transformation into your life. Every human being is broadcasting a frequency, an electromagnetic field generated by their thoughts and emotions. When you're focused on lack, your field becomes chaotic, scattered, and weak. But when you're grounded in self-awareness, when you're calm, focused, and connected to purpose, your field becomes organized and strong. That's the invisible force others feel even before you speak. That's what pulls people toward you, not what you do, but who you are in the invisible space of the now. Focusing on yourself is not selfish, it is sacred. Because in a world that constantly demands your attention, reclaiming your focus is an act of power. When you stop measuring your worth based on how others respond to you, when you stop trying to be liked, chosen, or accepted, you begin to redirect that wasted energy back to your own growth. Instead of obsessing over someone's silence, you invest in your voice. Instead of trying to control their actions, you learn to regulate your emotions. Instead of rehearsing what you could have done differently, you rise into a new version of yourself that no longer tolerates what once made you feel small. This is where magnetism is born. Not from noise, but from depth. Not from proving, but from presence. When you are focused on you, your healing, your vision, your evolution, you emit a vibration of self-respect and emotional sovereignty. And that vibration speaks louder than words. It tells the universe, I am ready for more, not because I need to be fixed, but because I finally see my own wholeness. People often confuse attraction with effort. They think if they just say the right thing, post the right photo, or play the right game, they'll win someone's attention. But energetic reality doesn't work like that. What you attract is a direct reflection of who you are being, not who you are pretending to be. And who you are being is a result of where your focus lies. If your focus is constantly external, if you're always scanning for signs of approval, waiting for validation, or adjusting yourself to avoid rejection, then your power is being leaked. You are no longer the creator. You have become the reactor. Focusing on yourself means taking full responsibility for your frequency. It means asking yourself, what am I radiating into the field right now? Are you embodying peace or clinging to chaos? Are you rooted in self-worth or seeking scraps of validation? Because the field responds not to your words, but to your state. And the state of magnetism is always found in alignment, not performance. When you start pouring into yourself, your mind, your body, your spirit, you begin to glow from within. And that glow isn't forced. It isn't loud. It's quiet, but undeniable. It's the kind of glow that doesn't beg to be noticed, yet cannot be ignored. People feel safer around you. They trust you more, not because of anything you say, but because your energy is stable, grounded, and whole. You are no longer trying to get something. You are simply being someone. That shift is the key to every breakthrough. Focusing on you also means developing emotional discipline. Instead of spiraling into overthinking when someone pulls away, you turn inward and ask yourself what still needs healing. Instead of latching onto external outcomes, you surrender to the process of becoming. You stop asking, "Why don't they choose me?" and begin declaring, "I choose myself." This isn't arrogance, it's alignment. And from this space of deep presence, you no longer fear being alone because you realize you are not lonely. You are in preparation. Preparation for what? For a reality that matches your new identity. A reality where you no longer abandon yourself for temporary approval. A reality where your boundaries are not flexible, but rooted. A reality where your presence speaks before you enter the room. But you cannot access that future by staying in the energy of chasing. You only access it by becoming so fully connected to your own power that the need to be validated dissolves entirely. As you focus on your healing, your growth, your inner peace, something subtle but undeniable shifts in your environment. People who once ignored you begin to notice. Opportunities that once eluded you start appearing. The relationships you once chased fall away, and new ones begin to align. You haven't changed them. You've changed your field. And your field is the silent architect of your life. Most people are conditioned to believe that life is a series of events that happen to them, and that in order to change their future, they must chase something outside themselves. More money, more love, more recognition. But what they don't realize is that chasing only reinforces the emotional signature of lack. And in the quantum field, it is not your wishes or your willpower that create your future. It is your state of being, who you are in thought, emotion, and energy that casts the signal which the field mirrors back into form. When you live in alignment, you don't chase outcomes. You become a frequency match for them. Every single moment, you are broadcasting an energetic blueprint into the world. That blueprint is built on your beliefs, your habits, your feelings, and your thoughts. If your dominant emotions are rooted in fear, insecurity, unworthiness, or desperation, then no matter what you say you want, the field only responds to the energy you're embodying. That's why people can want love and still attract rejection. That's why they can want abundance and still experience lack. Because what you desire and who you're being must be aligned, or you'll remain stuck in the cycle of pursuit without fulfillment. Creation happens from the inside out. Your outer reality is always a reflection of your inner world. But if you've been taught to focus solely on action, on doing more, trying harder, and forcing outcomes, you'll miss the fundamental truth being always precedes having. You cannot chase your way into peace. You cannot hustle your way into worthiness. You must become the version of you who already lives in that future, and then let your life reorganize around that internal shift. This is why identity is the real secret to transformation. If you continue to see yourself as broken, lacking, or less, then even unconsciously your behaviors will mirror that identity. You'll chase partners who treat you like you're disposable. You'll settle for jobs that don't honor your gifts. You'll tolerate friendships that drain you, not because you enjoy suffering, but because your subconscious mind is programmed to seek out experiences that are familiar, not necessarily empowering. That's how the brain works. It prioritizes familiarity over fulfillment until you interrupt the pattern and consciously rewrite your identity. Who are you being when no one is watching? What thoughts do you feed yourself in silence? What emotions do you rehearse daily? These are not just passing mental states. These are instructions you're giving your nervous system, your cells, and your reality. If you wake up every day reliving the pain of your past, then you are unconsciously using your energy to create more of it. If you constantly tell yourself that nothing works out for you, then you are programming your future to reflect that belief. The field doesn't discriminate, it simply reflects. And so you must become intentional about who you are in every moment, especially when nothing around you has changed yet. When you choose to embody a new state of being, let's say gratitude, confidence, or peace, before you see the evidence of it, you are disrupting the cycle of reaction and stepping into the seat of creation. This is not pretending. This is retraining. You are teaching your body to feel safe in a new emotional reality. You are signaling to your brain that you no longer need external conditions to feel worthy. And as you sustain that elevated state over time, the field begins to respond. Not because you're forcing it to, but because you're becoming the energetic blueprint that aligns with what you've asked for. Let's break it down even further. Imagine two people. One is chasing love, constantly seeking approval, needing validation, and measuring their worth by how others treat them. The other is focused on becoming love, radiating it, embodying it, practicing it in their inner world regardless of who's watching. One person is desperate, the other is deliberate. One is reactive, the other is intentional. And while they may look the same externally, their inner realities and the futures they are creating are drastically different. You have to stop asking, when will it come? And start asking, who am I becoming right now? Because the real delay is never in the universe's response. It's in our readiness to receive. And readiness is not about doing more. It's about being different. It's about shifting your baseline from fear to trust, from neediness to self-assurance, from chasing to attracting. When you become the person who no longer needs to chase, you begin to collapse time. What once felt distant or impossible suddenly starts moving toward you. Not because you changed the world, but because you changed the signal you're sending to it. Everything changes when you do, but the work isn't in controlling others or micromanaging outcomes. It's in mastering your internal state. It's in choosing the future version of yourself and then rehearsing that energy until it becomes familiar. Because the future you're dreaming of doesn't exist somewhere far away. It's already encoded in your potential. And it's waiting for you to step into the version of yourself who can hold it without shrinking, chasing, or begging. The moment you stop begging, stop chasing, and start focusing on yourself, you begin to shift from survival to creation. You're no longer giving your power away to outcomes, people, or circumstances that have no control over your worth. Instead, you become the source of your own energy, your own love, your own direction. This is not about isolation. It's about alignment. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And when you become someone who is grounded, whole, and magnetic from within, life no longer pulls you in 1,000 directions. It begins to respond to you. Your healing becomes your power. Your solitude becomes your clarity. And your focus becomes the bridge between the life you're living and the one you were born to create. Stop chasing things that were never meant to be yours. Let go of proving. Let go of performing. Reclaim your energy, rewire your identity, and return to the only place where transformation begins, within.